and welcome to episode 25 of The Woo Report, a podcast I honestly never imagined I'd create, book, produce, host, and yet here we are. And as of this recording, The Woo Report is approaching 20,000 downloads, which is so wild to me, and I am so incredibly grateful. I do not take it for granted for 1 second. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following, liking, sharing, rating, for subscribing on YouTube. It is such a complete gift to talk about what I love, to interview people I admire deeply, and to know that these conversations are landing with you. So for this milestone episode, I wanted to share 5 core lessons that have come through since launching this podcast. These are lessons that are top of mind for me. They're soul whispers, they're little spiritual breadcrumbs that I keep coming back to. And maybe you've already felt them, and maybe this short list can serve as a reminder to support you now too. Let's do it. Hi, I'm Laura Scarpati, filmmaker and woo-woo enthusiast. Here today to cut through the noise, pull back the veil, and cozy up in the space between reality and spirituality. Thanks for listening to The Woo Report. So the first one is self-love. Self-love is choosing yourself. So it's not getting your hair done or taking a solo walk, although those things are great. When I say self-love, I mean it's like the harder kind of self-love, like saying no to something that you don't want to do, even if it's expected of you, even if it disappoints someone. It's so hard to disappoint our friends and our family. But self-love is knowing when something doesn't feel aligned for you and then honoring that without guilt. And it's being really, 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 really honest. Do I want to be there? Am I doing this thing out of obligation or out of love? And the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is to live in your own alignment and with your truth. And so what does that mean? What is that little voice inside you saying? Is it saying, I don't want to go. But like everybody's going, I feel like I have to go, but I really don't want to go. And if it's saying, I don't really want to go, then don't go. Because you don't need to attend every brunch to be a good friend. You don't need to have a cocktail to prove that you're still fun. You're allowed to protect your peace. And I think protecting your peace is like the whole game. It's the whole point. So here's to choosing you, to making yourself number one, and making that self as authentic as it can be. I love talking about this with Breezy, and I think it was episode 21. Her openness and the roller coaster that was her journey so far is so inspiring. The second lesson I learned through all of these episodes is that our triggers are our teachers. Our triggers show up when something is unhealed and is asking to be seen, and it does not feel good. It is rarely convenient, but if you let it, a trigger can be an invitation into a deeper understanding. It's a moment to really ask ourselves, what is really going on here? You can either sink into old patterns or you can rise. It's crazy how the people and the situations that irritate us the most are often shining this flashlight on the exact spot we need to heal, which is totally rude. But if you let them, our triggers can really be our greatest guides. Okay, number 3. Everything is energy. And every moment is a choice. So what we say, how we think, how we move through the day, all of these tiny, tiny, tiny little choices and thoughts, they're all energetic signatures. The smallest decision carries vibration. So do I speak kindly about someone or do I stay in the judgment? Do I breathe? Or do I react immediately? And am I rushing around or can I soften and take another breath? Breathing. I'm going to do it right now. In through your stomach, like breathing so that your stomach is expanding, is everything. Just taking that moment, taking that breath. And alignment for us lives in these micro moments when we choose peace, when we choose kindness, when we choose love, when we choose compassion, we are choosing ourselves. I heard this analogy that I really like, which energy is like a vote. And not to get political, because talk about another place where I struggle, where I become triggered, but every single micro moment, every thought is a vote for the world you want to live in. Do I recycle this LaCroix, or do I pretend that the bin is too far away? What would your highest self do in that moment? Sometimes I think about that when I am cleaning out the fridge. I need to recycle something and it's just going to take so long to clean out. Should I just throw it in the trash, or am I going to take time to clean it out so that the recycling truck will take it? And honestly, I'm like, what would my highest self do? And it is that my highest self would clean it out. It would clean it out. It's other things too. It's like, am I going to lose it on my kids, or am I going to take 3 deep breaths and try again? We are constantly casting these energetic ballots. And that, my friends, is a wild power to hold. So how are you voting? How are you voting in every second? How energetically are you voting? Which brings me to number 4, to quote our girl Taylor Swift, it's me. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. But amending it to, I'm the problem and I'm the solution. Because you are the common denominator in your life, in your relationships, in your patterns. You are the through line. And that's not blame. That is power. That is empowerment. We are responsible for what is happening in our reality. And taking radical responsibility for our energy and our choices and our patterns, that's the portal. And we're not shaming ourselves. We're not beating ourselves up, because I have been there and we are freaking done with that. No more of that. We are getting curious, not critical, about how we move through the world. And that's when transformation starts. It's getting out of victimhood. Like, they did this to me. They're not listening to my podcast. They think that my ideas are bad. The algorithm is fucking me over. That is a victimhood mindset. And some of that comes from things that we need to empty out. We need to empty out our filing cabinet. What are we holding on to that doesn't feel good? What shame or what guilt or what moment in our life are we not proud of that we can forgive ourselves for? And I talked about this a little bit with Daniel, the past life regressionist, about this moment in middle school for me that was like, I held on to in this filing cabinet for years. But how can we let go of that and work through that and look at it and spin it around? And that brings me to number 5, which is showing up for yourself, showing up as a practice. So what works for you though? What works for you, showing up for you? It's going to look different for me. But society tells us that there's only one way to live life, and it is so not true. We each have a unique way of moving through the world, and what works for us to come back to ourselves is going to look different. For some people, it will be being out in nature, watching the sunset. And for others, it's going to be moving your body. It's going to be yoga or running or strength training. And for some people, it'll be both. It'll be a bit of both. And you don't need to meditate for an hour. I rarely meditate for an hour. But can you take 1 minute during your busy days to just breathe? When you really breathe, it changes everything. It changed everything. When I think about why we're here, the purpose of us all being here on this planet right now, it's to grow. It's to learn. It's to evolve. And when we zoom all the way out and we think about what happens when we die, which is something I ask everyone because there's so much to learn from the dying. And I know oftentimes this is a hard subject for people because there is grief. There is anger, there is fear, there is loss. And I get that people don't want to touch it because of all of that. it's totally understandable. But the reality is we are all going to die one day. We are all going to die. For those that are given their expiration date, they treasure every moment. And it's something that I think that we take for granted. I know I do from time to time. I take for granted that I am alive, that I am alive right now in this moment. We numb out, we scroll. And if I was going to die tomorrow, would I be scrolling? Or would I be reading the news, or would I be living? What would I focus on? What would I do with my time? And so that's just like bringing it all back to being present. And that's something that when we get curious about ourselves, we are finding ourselves like in the present moment. You don't need a perfect routine. You just need to return to yourself regularly. Even for 1 minute, that's enough. That's where the shift begins. And this podcast has become part of that for me. It's my own practice of showing up for what matters to me, even when it's vulnerable. I never thought I'd be in front of the camera. I was always behind the camera and like pulling the strings behind the camera, and that felt safe and good. And this is really vulnerable, and I'm imperfect and I'm uncertain, and yet showing up to do this still allows me to create and to be authentic and to talk about the 5D and spirituality, which has transformed and changed me so much, and being able to speak to my heroes. And I'm so excited for some of the guests coming up this summer. I'm just very much a work in progress. And I also struggle. I struggle to pause before reacting, but I am so much better than I was 2 years ago or 10 years ago. And I am making choices now that I'm choosing to nourish myself instead of numb. And I'm choosing to listen to that little tug inside of me when it says, go outside. When it says, you don't need to drink right now. When it says, let's take a beat. Let's take a breath. And committing to that voice and the messy magic of learning about all of it in public. And finally, to bring it home on this very vulnerable first solo episode, life is a roller coaster. We can scream the whole way through, or we can complain about the wait, or we can feel the breeze on our faces, and we can laugh when our stomach drops, because there is no avoiding the dips and there's no avoiding the climbs, but you get to decide how you experience it. You can grip the bar the whole time, or you can breathe deeply, take it all in, and enjoy the ride, because this is it. And this is so freaking fun. And I am so grateful to be on this ride with you and that you were on this journey with me. And thank you for being here, for learning with me, for taking a beat out of your day to look inward with me here on the Woo Report. I hope that you have found it as nourishing and as helpful and as supportive as I do. I am so grateful you are here.